conflict resolution, Mr. Idris Miliki.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, good evening, listener. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I also have your convener and the CEO and founder of the Albino Foundation. Good to see you. So happy to see you.
Good evening, happy smiling Jennifer, and good evening, listeners.
All right, so today we're here to talk about the Human Rights Day celebration 20. We move in straight to the topic of discussion. The Albino Foundation has been doing incredibly well. Like we've been too busy to even give you all the news. All right. So before Mr. J came into the studio, I was telling him that I can't even wait to talk about all of the events we've been yet to come. So he's here to talk about another event that will be happening right here in Abuja, the Electability Confab 1.0, which is the conference for persons with disabilities contesting for elective position in the forthcoming 2023 general election. I'm so glad that we are at this point right now, especially as it concerns disability inclusion. So, what more information do you have for us regarding this program?
Well, we are bringing together all the contestants of persons with disability who will be contesting in 2023. All of them will arrive tomorrow for the conference on Monday in the new Abuja, former Sheraton. However, this conference is strictly by invitation, and so this is not an opportunity to get people to come. Those who will come have already been invited. We are putting spotlight that will be joining us. We're happy to host a number of dignitaries, including Canadian ambassador, the new Canadian ambassador, the Minister for Women Affairs, the Minister for Science and Technology, the Minister, a number for plaque will be in one of the panels, and there will be the situation room. Dio will be there. We also have the former INEC commissioner, national commissioner, who has joined the board of the Albino Foundation, Amina Zakari. We of course, how can I forget my chairman, the chairman of the Albino Foundation, Professor V. Nanibog, who will be delivering the keynote address, who is also a member of the board, will be on the panel. Dr. Adebukola will also be there as a moderator. So it's a huge of persons that would help the candidate understand what to do as a candidate. How do you win the attention of these funds to drive your campaign? How do you tweak your messaging as a politician to be able to get the attention of the electorate? How do you conduct yourself? What kind of skills will you when you're going into the political arena to campaign for an office? And of course, all of that will happen in Sheraton. And then in the evening, to the first town hall live broadcast on AIT at 7 to 8. All of the candidates will be there and to answer questions about what they are doing. We're using these two events to present the candidate to Nigerians. Resources, money, personnel that all the mainstream politicians have. They can afford to fly private jets and go to their campaign, which is not a bad thing. Afford to buy over the media houses and all that. But these individuals don't have that opportunity, and we're creating this platform for them to launch themselves, for them to be able to talk to Nigerians on what many of them have in mind. And I'm believing God and trusting Nigerians that at the end of the day, these individuals will be elected. And we've already created a group so that we can continue mentorship after all of these programs so that we'll know what they are doing. We keep track of them, who win, who doesn't win, who have been marginalized, who have been discriminated against. Why is it that eventually they didn't win if they won? We will follow and track all of that.
Okay. How far do you think this can go in terms of achieving, what we've been talking about in the program disability inclusion, political participation, electoral process?
Mhm. Well, Jennifer, when we started, it was obvious when we started that we couldn't get two, three contestants or candidates. Today, we have close to 19 of them who are contesting for various elective offices. And that's a plus for us. We have well over 5 persons who are contesting for the Senate, 8 for House of Representatives. More people, we keep getting numbers that we keep researching from INEC platform that keeps increasing because some of them did not know that they ought to tick the box whether they have disability or not. So we have more people who are going to be contesting this election with disability that we're not able to capture because we're working with the data that provided by INEC. Whoever has disability in spite of their party, we are bringing them to. We're not endorsing the party of the candidate. We're endorsing the.
Now, for being a candidate, for instance, someone is listening, I would want to.
Well, you have to have one form of disability or the other.
Okay.
This is when disability is
Very,
crucial.
very.
Or the other.
Okay.
We're not interested in the party that you're coming from. We're interested in the person that you are. And I repeat, this event will not promote any political party. Our focus is on the candidate of the political party. I'm here, I'm contesting under the platform of whatever political party, But for us as an organization, it's not an endorsement of any and every. We are interested in the person contesting under a political party platform. That person has the right to talk about, but not from us.
Milestone. I think it's a long time coming, and we're happy that we are here right now at this position, promoting persons with disabilities and their right to political participation, especially where their rights are being marginalized. All right, so we want you to ask questions. So put your questions aside because we're calling out the phone line for you to call in, ask your message to the number that I'll be calling shortly. I would have loved to do like some introduction, but let me just move straight to the topic of discussion. Reiterating what I said earlier while we began the program, that today is the Human Rights Day celebration. Yes, where we can be including persons with disabilities. So we are streaming now on our social media handles on Facebook at the Albino Foundation, on Instagram and Twitter at staff_NIJ. And our guest for today is Idris Miliki, the Executive Director of Conscience for Human Rights and Conflict Resolution. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Once again, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know if you'd like to say one or two things concerning this event and how it can help promote disability inclusion in Nigeria.
Everyone, as first of all, say Happy International Human Rights Day.
Thank you.
To every human being, but more especially with persons with disabilities.
Yes.
And then you also realize the fact that the society where we are, where people don't seem to know the value of persons with disability, all of us are deformed one way or the other than the other. So for the past that Mr. Jen and the True Albino Foundations has been doing so much to promote, to escalate, to inform, And to be able to let people know that there is the ability in disability, I think to me it's a major contribution to humanity here in Nigeria.
Okay, so what do you think is the relationship between disability rights and human rights?
Of course, the first insight is, so when you talk of human rights, whether you are disabled, whether you are children, whether you are women, whether you are able-bodied, it doesn't really matter. So far you are a human being. And that is why there are no sentiment. But for the fact those of us who think we are not disabled, normally there are a lot of disabilities that are not pronounced, like I said, but are the ones that are more pronounced than the other. So definitely, it's relative. Look at the theme of the program or the title is inclusivity. Is to see how you can bring everybody on board. A society where everybody's interest is protected. A society where people take note to say, okay, look, this person is human being, a lot of whatever challenges he or she is facing, and then he needs or she to be taken care of. So what provision do we in the society where we find ourselves, in the community, in the larger society. And that is why you find to so many institutions today, because even the professional that design buildings, in many places, they don't even think of person with disability. So in that case, but with this awareness, people need to know that in schools, what professional we provide with the children who have one form of disability or the other, whether it's in the primary school, education. That is the most important thing. Now you are talking of elections. How many of us can afford or be given the opportunity for persons with disability in co, no matter what resources such a person constituency, to contest for House of Rep, state assembly, even governors, not knowing the party that person with disability can also do well. We have seen lawyers who have one form of disabilities. We have seen doctors religiously, if not even better with some people who claim to be disabled. So when we look at all those ones, they serve as a shining star where we can point out despite the challenges he or she is facing.
All right, we are talking about human rights, and the theme for this year's celebration is dignity, freedom, and justice. We'll be focusing more on that, but we'd like to hear from you. So make a call and contribute to the program. The numbers to call are 0705 1324. I take that number again, 0705 149 or call the number 0915 0915 So I know most of you are habit of, and let us hear your voice as well. We sincerely appreciate that. But we want to hear from you. So in case you need to get through to our phone lines, kindly is 0908 875 7496. 0908 496. We're talking about the Human Rights Day celebration. So, Mr. Miliki, concepts of dignity, freedom, and justice as it concerns persons with disabilities.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
freedom to participate. Also go with the right to participate. The what people constitution itself in chapter 4 also give us that right. But if people talk about the fact that it may not be justiciable, which is to me to make sure that in terms of dignity, the same respect you accord the person that you think is an able body at some level. And if they are okay, they need extra because of the challenges they face. So in that case, when you cannot dignity of the persons who have one challenges or the other.
Kindly hold that so to have a caller.
Yeah. Hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name and location, please? You're welcome to the program.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead. If just talk, we can hear you. Hello. Call us back and we'd like to hear from you. 0705 3324. If you're watching us, drop in your comments, your handle. The other number is 0915091048. So hello, good evening. Go ahead, please. Kindly call us back. We really want from you. We're talking about the Human Rights Day celebration. What do you think is the meaning of human rights, and how do you think this is very significant to and for persons with disabilities, especially here in Nigeria? So, sir.
Yeah, we are talking about entitlement. It belongs to you. And like we have a very great musicians in this country that nobody can keep right. But what the good important thing is, even when because you are waiting for somebody, for instance, it's as easy as the fact that inside vehicle you pay. And when you are dropping for Mulu or anybody or an Okada, and the person refuses to, you are simply asking for your right. It's something that you are entitled to. They say human rights are an entitlement which nobody can deny you. So you must enjoy it. And that is why it is.
Okay, I'd like to pose this question now to Mr. Jake, and it's about the dignity, because one thing that I respect. Talk to us. Hello. Go. Just talk. It's such a challenge. Hello. Hello.
Can hear you.
Please
Now.
kindly send us a message on WhatsApp or via SMS or something. We really want to hear from you. I don't know why you can't hear us, but we can hear you. Yes. So please call us back. All right. So, sir, one thing I respect about some national frameworks, conventions, legal documents, especially as it concerns rights, both human rights or disability rights, the fact that they highlight the relevant with the confab just right around the corner. How do you think events like this, of course, promoting political participation, promoting political inclusion as it concerns persons with disabilities, how do you think this can, improve and promote the dignity of a person with?
When opportunity is given to everybody and there's a level playing field, psychologically, the person that feels marginalized or not being given a chance, there's a moral, there's a moral, there's an immorality aspect of that feeling that that person says, look, I belong to the society. I'm part of the society. I have been given a chance to prove myself. I've been given that every other person is looking for. It has a way of boosting your morale, boosting your confidence, and giving you that sense of belonging. I think it's that sense of belonging that, although by my personal principle, I don't wait until you give me that chance. But some people are not like that. In other words, whenever I see of it in the most humble way, But for some others, they will want to be given that opportunity that makes them feel dignified, that makes them feel welcome. So for me, when opportunities like focus in bringing some of these dignitaries to associate with persons with disability, which makes them feel and have that sense of belonging. So whenever that human being should be treated, it's dignifying. And whenever the opposite is done, it dehumanizes that person. And oftentimes, it affects psychology, the way he sees the society, he or she sees the society.
Okay, now what are some human rights mechanisms that can engage citizens at every level, to persons with disabilities?
Well, when they are the right, yes, the law may be there, but there has to be framework that drives the implementation. Basic human rights laws is right to life, right to education, right to existence, right for you to feel that, for you to give the all that I need as a human being. Those are, you don't need laws. You don't need laws to know and implement there. Even before our forefathers, they had that respect for life. They had respect for dignity. They have respect for women, respect for men. You know, now that we have the laws, now that we have the rules, it's simply of those rules and ensure that the people that are targeting, which is oftentimes the most vulnerable in our society, get those at the high places will get.
All right, 0705 149 3324, 0705 call, or 0915 091 0482. Send a WhatsApp message to 0908 7496. 0908 877496. We're going still expecting calls from you. Kindly make that phone call or send a message to our WhatsApp number to engage.
This man is against the
Focus.
Focus.
Let me go to the live stream.
I think we do some two programs that I was here last time. Calls. Moment of truth. Calls. We couldn't.
Yeah, and take over. I think you have the connection problem.
So, even after the program, they got maybe you know this. Maybe it's couldn't go.
Okay, when
Now.
maybe 15.
Ready?
They pay you this month.
Better.
Because don't pay you.
I'm coming. We will talk.
Like I start to talk. So I have last
Are they owing you?
5
The line.
truly before we started the new contract. I'm doing my
The music will know that. I mean, we dovetail to news.
okay.
Yeah, but it's the same internet. The same internet.
The Lagos state government has power over two the government.
So these are new segments. This is our new segment. News. These are news updates.
Oh, yes.
After the news.
Any news, any news that recognized by the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs
Who is reading
said
it?
the gesture was
There is a girl that reads Jemima Paul. She's an in-house IT
The
student.
challenges governance is society. The governor, represented by the Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, noted that the empowerment funds will increase the capacity of
So,
business just starting to
Well,
this is the
it was something it hasn't happened yet, so it's something to discuss during the program.
The Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs put the
an event is an upcoming event.
that no one is left behind in the state of government continue to commit to their work. The devices given out include wheelchairs, guide canes, hearing aids, motorized wheelchairs, cerebral palsy chairs, braille enforcers, laptop computers, creams, and sunscreen lotions used to treat conditions such as growth and simple skin cancers for the albinism, while those who got financial assistance to use their businesses also included elderly persons living with disability. About 1,000 people with disability with entrepreneurial skills got financial assistance to help build the capacity of their businesses, while 500 vulnerable and 500 elderly people with disabilities were also empowered financially, among other education. As the world marked International Day for Persons with Disabilities, support for government at all levels designed to support disability inclusiveness in the country has resonated. This was even as a call for the criminalization and sanctions departments and agencies and the private sector over implement policies for the full integration of persons with disabilities. The founder and chief executive officer of the Albino Foundation in Nigeria, Ambassador J. Ekpen, made the call International Day for Persons with Disabilities and campaigned for voters' education, organized for internally displaced persons in FCT to sensitize and on their rights to participate in policies and electoral processes. Speaking at the IDP voter education campaign at the Durham IDP's camp, FCT of stigmatization against people with disability was not only the sole responsibility of the government, but all well-meaning Nigerians. According to Disability Inclusive in Nigeria was a Herculean task that demands all hands on team success, despite the many challenges and disappointments arising from failed institutions, policies, and has reiterated its commitment to the full implementation of the State Disability Bill, which was recently passed into law by the State House of by the state's chapter of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability. The Edo First Lady to personally see to the full implementation of the law. She said, now that the disability bill has been passed into law, I will ensure to make as much progress in its implementation while we are still in government, so that no subsequent government can stall your progress. Meanwhile, the Association of Persons with Disability has presented an award of commendation to Godwin Obaseki and the First Lady for the chairperson of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability and Ujogu, while presenting the award. No patient decided physically challenged, like every other person, deserve to be protected. I am Jamaican.
And that's right, your rights deserve to be Thanks for staying tuned on the program Disability Inclusion as we take a look at the Human Rights Day celebration 2020 freedom and justice for persons with disability, which is the theme for this year's session. We still have the guests for today's program. For Human Rights and Conflict Resolution, Idris Miliki, and we want to join the conversation. Send your WhatsApp message to the 8875 7496 or 908 7496. Human rights are universally recognized, regardless of some differences, but their practical implications to culture. How can these be combated following some cultural practices that violate
Of course, you need to create awareness about the positivity associated with persons with disabilities. A lot of persons that are disabled today are not born with disability and become disabled. So you see, it's also everybody is a potential person who could also be affected with disability. So that don't look at this person because of the current challenge he or she is facing today. You can also find yourself in positions. We have seen prominent well in the music sector and in all other professionals that are disabled. They are not necessarily meaning that they were born with disability.
Probably a child now with disability. Good evening. We have our first caller, and I'm so delighted. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
I'm particularly
why I'm starting with that background.
Yeah.
That will be an issue we are sensitizing people with.
Yeah.
That in the of anybody that you see in your own opinion that is disabled that does not have ability. That's number one. Then number two, wherever the communities that will find the encouragement we give to such a person from the parent, from the family, and the larger society. I don't think that really, you see, sometimes when we talk of culture, there are simply cultural practices in a place. That does not mean they exist in other places that say, okay, you need to discriminate against it.
Recently, there was, was in the media, in the newspaper. I don't want to mention any name. In a community in Enugu State where they were for ritual, yes.
Yeah, that's what we are saying. That, okay, for instance, now, when we see the successful persons, encourage person that have such a person in their family or in their community to say, look, we don't need to do this. It's ignorant. And when you have persons that have ignorance, this is what is happening. You cannot be practicing on what exists 1,500 years ago. We are in the era of technology today. Do we have the kind of technological years ago? So as far as I'm concerned, and that is all of us collectively, both those of us who claim that we are able and those persons who are give this kudos to albino foundations, who are shouting, who are training people, who are advocating that persons with disability also have ability. So if you go to community, if I go to my communities, or when I'm organizing program, how many persons with disability do I invite into those places? Where we have albino, but that persons, although we don't have many of them, but we are very young, and I was privileged to associate with him very well because I've had with everybody. You have people with horseback, they are also disabled. So unless we now be able to them together, train them, advocate for policy, they themselves too, like he said something here. I don't wait until I'm invited. I go for my right, I go for my entitlement. That person. So, and I think we need to let every disabled person to know that this person, don't look yourself from your disadvantage. Don't lament more on your disadvantage. Don't look.
Now, what strategies do you think CSOs, stakeholders, or like-minded organization, the conscience
for human rights and conflict resolution,
put in place life-threatening traditional beliefs that endangers, the lives of persons with disabilities?
Well, fortunately and unfortunately for us in the civil society, our activities is driven by fun and then targeting persons with disability. But when we talk of inclusivity, justice, whoever do a program that have up to 30 persons without having one person or two, yeah, with person with disability, we must also advocate for their rights, and that is one of the things that will help. When you include them, people can see. When you see some persons with disability that are speaking, you'll be surprised. Or when you see certain things, skills, so that they can be able to rely on themselves.
How do we fight these traditional practices? Because at the end of the day, if I'm a 5-year-old child, for instance, and obviously sometimes I'm not an adult, so I can't really make these children with disabilities, these children with albinism, they need organizations to come to their aid at the grassroots level and protect their life.
It's a two-way thing. Fundamentally, law has been put in place for you don't discriminate. And that's why I'm telling you that the chapter 4 of the constitution also spells out the right. And it says clearly, so far you are a human being, that's number one. Then what encouragement do they give to their own children? What investment did they put into the person with disability? This person is your child like another person. So it might be more costlier to train, to educate person with disability than some of us who are able. But at the end of the day, it starts from the family. And when people see that, yes, you believe in yourself, and there's nobody can discriminate with that person. But when yourself, who brought this child in, are discriminating, are not valuing the ability, bringing out the ability in that person, then that's where the problem is. It's not possible. We are both Muslim and Christian in this country. Is anywhere in the disability? No. So when we have that, we can use those atmosphere to also do that. And then the development partners, the funders, we organizations that are facing persons with disability so that they can do more. It is not one person or one organization that can do it. All of us collecting advocacy. The media should create avenue, create programs specifically like we're having now. I don't have to be only on radio. In television, opportunity to those who are able. Now, when you see those people who have excelled, that's why they have a disability. This issue of cultural practices will fade away. When they to universities, the government must give scholarship, must have specific scholarship for the person with disability, and the society. What is the disability are they employed? What about the oil sector? What about the manufacturing sector? A lot of persons with disability can operate computer. They can help in the area of IT, but are we have a bigger role to do like any other civil society? Of course, the media also belong to the civil society. So we need to do that in the education sector, education, so that he or she can have an open eye. Then you cannot encourage that person. This is the issue. How many of us today have that resources? You are not giving scholarship to person with disabilities, and that is where the problem is. We need for women. We also need that affirmative action for persons with disability for us to mainstream into whatever we are doing, and I think that is very key. The law that we have today, how many? That law is not meant for person with disability alone. It's for us who are able to do certain things to familiarize ourselves with the law that is there and do a lot of advocacy with it, so that when they can see you are not disabled in the reason, but you are advocating for person with disability. That will encourage people to come in.
Okay.
And that is very key.
Okay. In cases of violation of rights, persons with disability contained in the Disability Act, which was adopted in 2018 and signed in 2019, what are citizens now expected to take to ensure justice?
Well, I will going to also challenge or encourage the Nigerian Bar Association. We have a lot of human rights committee within the bar in different states and in different local government. How are they mainstreaming these laws into the activities of the bar act? When persecuted, when his or her right is being violated, does the NDA take such activity free of charge in terms of pro bono? Just like we also have the feeder that is there.
Okay, hello, we have a good evening. Good to have you, sir. What's your name and location? Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. Welcome, sir.
I want to appreciate what you have discussed and to quickly say that one thing is to make a law, another thing is to implement it. All the laws that affect the people ensures that they are being implemented. And there is effective point of it, like that of hiding during the election. Let it be seen the next time again for people with disability to go and cast their vote. They should be given that way. Glasses for those who have eye disease and eye disease, and so on and so forth. So that we see this thing being to be practiced and not just taking the laws that are not implemented. Above all, I want to suggest that this issue of transportation, therefore, people with disability in Nigeria have not been taking appropriate care of. They cannot afford some other people on our own. And you go to the airport, they even enter some care plan because they are not being provided for as expected in the law. And not this for a law. I want us to ensure that the right things are done so that the people with disability will be carried and not give up faith. That's your thought.
That figure, very interesting point you made, and that is one of the issues that we keep talking about because these are rights now that are contained in the act. Quickly, just let us know what you think about built-in environment. We are also talking about some environmental barriers that mitigate inclusivity. Thank you so much, Oliver. Good to have you. All right.
I don't have a few contributions to talk about.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you to the Umbrella Foundation for what they are doing, especially for the school inclusion of we, persons with disabilities. Very valuable thing that we necessarily found within the structure of that, and then campaign for this one. However, for the rights of persons with disabilities, an area that really touched on all of us is when it comes to the child right. A lot of children with disabilities. So what model are we going to use to see that parents with disabilities are ashamed of their children with disabilities and lock them up in rooms or hide them away or even not allow them to associate with other children? These parents are realized of the child by the country. Sometimes they lock up their children and then hide them away without allowing them access to education, health, and other. It's right for the child will grow up not feeling that it's right, just like your guest spoke earlier. So this children will be informed from the child not even the program we are going to reach these children even in their schools so that they can know their rights as children.
Yes,
Great.
I have. If you just went off the phone, we heard you, Mr. Oliver. I sincerely appreciate you for calling back. It only takes someone who is really enthusiastic about back and make sure that his opinion is heard. So thank you. So I don't know if you have something to say regarding what he
Yeah,
just
one thing is the part that even the law that exists at both federal and state level are not known to citizens. I will encourage us to find a way of put them in their local language in respect community that we have. A lot of states have gotten this law and even have set up institutions to manage it, but they don't have funding. They don't have, for instance, in Kogi State, we have disability. They don't have offices. Number one, that is my first encouragement that will be there. Then again, this kind of posts will come at state level, in government radio institutions, so that because what Albino Foundation is doing, what they are doing, and it's expensive. But if you have it in all the 36 state radio stations, they can even speak in the local languages, and people get to know and have awareness about what they are doing. So, and I think to me, if we do that, people will get to know, oh, there is even a law that exists. What about those professional associations like the engineers, the professionals, because we think only the lawyers are supposed to help. What about there must be a way we collaborate with them, we sensitize them that in the design stage, it must encourage the person with disability. In for election, maybe finally, we have also find that we have engaged INEC to find that on election day, where the ballot boxes and then cubicle will be placed, will be where it will be accessible by everybody. Not that go and put something where you have drainages now, person that on wheelchair cannot get there. So those are some of those things we need to be doing.
Okay, sir. We really like to give out some messages, to our listener in order to gain some insights and better, insights about what this program is about. Yes. So the Act defines a person with disability as a person who has received a preliminary certificate of disability to have a condition that is expected to continue permanently or for a considerable length of time. Limit the person's hearing, thinking, relating, descending, lifting, grasping, rising, and any related functions or any limitation due to weaknesses or significantly decreased endurance so that he or she cannot perform their everyday routine, living and working without significantly increased hardship and vulnerability to everyday obstacles and hazard. All right, I hope you got that. Secondly, the Act defines a person with disability as a person with a long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in the society on an equal basis with others. And as usual, I have Lynn Alucha standing by rather, to let us know who the star of the week is. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, hi Jennifer. Good evening. So the star of the week today is the former governor of Nasarawa State, Umaru Tanko Al Makura.
Yeah.
He contracted Lassa fever disease in 1990, which made him hard in hearing for 20 years. Before he had a cochlear implant that mechanically processes the sound. He got infected when he was beaten on his finger while trying to prevent his dance. He said he later fell sick with severe headache, seizures, cough, stomach ache, and erratic breathing. He got elected in 2011 and re-elected in 2015. In 2012, he led the bills on persons with disabilities in the National Assembly. His executive bill in Nasarawa State on persons of Assembly, and he signed into law the Nasarawa State Disability Law.
All right, quite an interesting information. Very interesting, I must say. Knowing that a person with disability can actually take Joe Biden on and obtain a political position here in our society. So I'm here to tell. Let's take a cue from the former governor of Nasarawa State, Umaru Tanko Kura. It's still disability inclusion on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We're gradually calling this a wrap. Well, we're not done yet, all right? We're here to talk about 2022 Human Rights Day with the theme Dignity, Freedom, and Justice for any your calls. Kindly call us on 0705 149 3324 or 0915 091 0482 0705 149 3324 or 0915 091 0482 of Conscience for Human Rights and Conflict Resolution, Mr. Idris Miliki, with us here in studio. He's so enthusiastic about the topic. I'm tempted to ask you, I'm actually not, I know of Center for Human Rights and Conflict Resolution. I've never heard. I'm tempted to ask you what,
we need to grow. And you see, the legal status of an organization matter at a particular time.
Right.
So the center was the first one that we had at the state level. But as we grow, taking more responsibilities, it's because obvious with our partners that are supporting our work that we need to have a better legal status that can give us a national spread and to be able to do our job nationally. So in the process of registration, the Minister of Justice then was the one that felt that you need to submit several names. And among the names that we submitted, it was conscience that was picked up. So we have to now amend.
Okay.
The only thing that changed was from center to conscience. And it is interesting to know that, because that conscience, he said we live by our conscience and we leave everybody with conscience. That's just what I.
Okay, now what role must the organization of persons with disabilities play to ensure human rights for persons with disabilities are recognized and respected?
It is stated that the person who wears shoes know where it pinches. It is of the river. So let them take the lead and also emulate what Albino Foundation is doing. Well, one thing in Nigeria is the fact that when somebody starts an idea, people carry every load and throw it back to you as if they don't have a responsibility. But we are happy that there are more organizations. But more importantly, at state level, partner with other NGOs and government. And we are calling on NBC to make sure for every broadcasting institution in Nigeria to create a specific program for persons with disability. If it is a radio station, if it's a television station, you should donate at least 30 minutes a week minimum to persons with disability and make it free of charge. Because knowing fully the fact that a lot of persons with disability in Nigeria also have issues with resources. And I think if we do that, by doing about 10, 15 years ago, we never had the kind of. So I believe in the next 10 years again, if we can get that by promoting their rights, by encouraging inclusivity, because it is about justice too. It is not disability a favor. You are only protecting their rights.
Yes.
And I think it's
Thank
very
you so
important.
much. Can you just yes? Oh, okay, thank you. This is actually contained in the Disability Rights Act, I beg your pardon. Now, there is a 5-year transitional period for every building, every transportation network to make their service conducive now for persons with disabilities and accessible now for persons with disabilities. So, deadline to implement this. So, I believe by the end of next year, from the guests we've had severally, during the course of this program, after next year, I'm sure that penalties now. I don't know if you have anything to say. Yes.
We should be led by us as civil society and
Okay.
very other citizens. And we can see the achievement that at that time, just like the Beijing issue, every 10 years, we are alive, by next year we should sit down to review what has the law achieved, what are the constraints, and what is the way forward.
But from your observation and kind of environment is being built to accommodate or include persons with
We need to also appreciate the fact that based on the advocacy, that is a bit is not too significant. Because so we need to build that in the next 5 years. Where are we supposed? That's why I'm talking of a review, and we should start planning up on that. Can we put a machinery in place for the review from state to state? Put a plate in place. Do we have a plate to say, okay, the law that have been put in place, but we have states that have well, but there's a lot of states. You can hear what the first lady of those states say. Before we leave office, we want to do this and that. We should give ourselves targets. The state must give them targets. The private sectors will also support. When I was saying the fact that, like for instance, in COVID State, where we have disability commission, and no vehicle has been given to them, how does the commission
talk to Mr. This statement is actually for Mr. Fidel that sometimes, individually we have a role to play regarding this.
Yeah.
So it's not about the government, the CSOs, the stakeholders, and persons with disability, organizations. This movement by doing a person-to-person advocacy, get into a building, get into
and
a
support resources
space,
like banks,
even with your word of mouth, and let persons with disabilities, and it's in the law and so time, so period, you will be penalized. Finally, sir, in just 30 seconds because we're out of time, what was your last
things where the law that have been put in place where you can sue is not, people don't even know. So awareness creation about the content of the law is very important. And then private sectors will come in by donating. We have big oil sector that are making billions of money that are declaring profit. What percentage will they set out to support and assist with the person with disability?
So that's a question we might likely answer in our next edition. So we sincerely appreciate all those that called Mr. Oyeneke, Mr. Fidel, Mr. Not being able to, hear you, while you called earlier. We also want to acknowledge that Mr. Oliver from Abuja, we got your WhatsApp message to read it out. So we sincerely appreciate you for participating. Remember, this program comes up every Saturday at 7 p.m. on the program Disability Inclusion. For more information on the activities of the Albino Foundation, visit our website at www.albino.com/0703-1103773 or 0701-97733. Guest, Mr. Idris Miliki. Thank you so much, Executive Director of the Conscience for Human Rights and Conflict Resolution. Also, many thanks and the studio manager Usman Mohammed. Thank you so much. A special thanks to the producer Stephen Isabo, and also to the founder and CEO of the Albino Foundation. Thank you so much, Mr. J.K. Pele, for name is Jennifer Ogo. Urging you to have a splendid weekend and bye for now. Next, Youth Connect Radio Nigeria.
Good. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, sir.